I want to tie a few things together. First of all, go back to Maxine Waters and what she said about ESG yesterday. Listen.
It's become a dirty word for corporate America. It's gotten so politicized.
It certainly has gotten politicized, and it's unfortunate because it's inevitable that everyone is going to have to participate in dealing with
the environment. Okay, mandatory. It will be mandatory. You will have to participate in ESG. So everything they said about a conspiracy theory is now clearly off the table. They're saying it. So you will have to deal with a social credit score. Now I want you to listen to what Kamala Harris said at the AI meeting yesterday.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters.
Oh, my God.
It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in.
Okay, stop. What she's saying here is that we're going to teach AI about ESG. We're going to talk to the computer and teach the algorithms to look for equity, to look for social justice, to look for environmental wrongs, to look at governance. Now, remember, Maxine Waters just said this is inevitable. Everyone will be forced. You'll have to deal with it. Now they're talking about AI, making that an all-seeing, all-knowing policeman. So now what is the punishment? Let me bring you to central bank digital currency. This is from page 154 of Dark Future. Now, tie all these things together. Listen carefully. When people think of digital currencies, they usually think of decentralized blockchain currencies like those discussed earlier in this chapter. But a U.S. central bank digital currency would likely be completely different, especially if it's developed under the Biden administration or another leftist White House. Why? Because they're going to teach it. Although developers of CBDCs promise these new currencies will be safe and designed to protect some privacy rights, footnote 373, one of the primary appeals of a CBDC is, from the perspective of governments, is that it would be programmable, meaning it could be designed to act in a certain way based on predetermined criteria. So tie this in. You're going to have an ESG score. It's going to be tied with AI watching you, and now a digital currency that is responsive to AI and those scores. A programmable central bank digital currency could be designed so it could only be utilized for certain kinds of purchases, or so that it has limits on the amount of times it can be used to buy certain goods or products. It's even more likely that some CBDCs, including a U.S. digital dollar, would be designed so the rules for its use could change over time. So if the geniuses of the Fed wake up one day and determine that the U.S. digital dollar should no longer be used to buy gasoline-powered cars, ammunition, guns, alcohol, fatty foods, or pretty much anything else they want to ban, federal bureaucrats could, with a push of a few buttons, make their little authoritarian dreams become a reality. Depending on how the law is written governing CBDC, it is possible, and I would argue likely, that additional legislation would not be required to make such changes. In other words, CBDCs are created in Europe and North America, and the Fed and other central banks, not a democratically elected legislature, are likely going to be in charge of how those digital dollars are used. That's how the Federal Reserve and some other central banks act today, with very little oversight. A programmable digital CBDC could also easily be tracked taken away, or have their supply greatly expanded, and on short notice. Think how effortless it would be for the Fed to provide a shiny new stimulus plan in an era of the digital dollar. Just make a phone call, wrap some keys on a keyboard, and boom, $1 trillion delivered to 100 million people, all within a couple of minutes. With all these possibilities in mind, is it difficult to imagine why a central bank or its allies in national governments would want to develop a CBDC? So tie this again together. You're going to have a social credit score, something they denied. They said that that was a conspiracy theory. We warned you that it wasn't. Most of your friends have no idea what ESG is. It is vital that they understand that. That's what the entire first book, The Great Reset, was about. Once you understand that that's not a conspiracy theory, that is a way to control corporations first, all the way down to you in the end. And when I say the end, I'm not talking 5 years out. I'm talking the next 18 to 24 months. It will control you. Then, when that is forced on everyone, you have an AI monitoring your every move. If you don't have the right credit score and they introduce CBDC, central bank digital currency, and it is programmable, exactly what Kamala Harris was talking about with AI, putting the information in that the government wants it to have, so it will have certain parameters that these leftists want to have in for your money. It's not your money. If you step out of bounds, if you complain about LGBTQ, they don't need the FBI to investigate you. AI will already know what you've written, who you're talking to, what you said at any kind of meeting or any meeting where your phone is on. And if you think that I am exaggerating, you are sadly misled and misguided. It will gather all of the information automatically, and it will change your score in real time, and you won't be able to do things that you want to do. We told you yesterday about how transportation, you're not going to be able to fly and go places. You're not even going to be able to drive your car from city to city if you don't have a perfect score. And as I told you yesterday or the day before, the UNESCO outlined in 2019 that you could have a low ESG score if you're a journalist. Why? Because you're going to be talking to people whose view does not agree with ESG or one of the other things that they're measuring. And if you talk to them for your job as a journalist, your point will go down, your score will go down, and you may not be able to drive your car. You'll have to ride a bus. This is not science fiction. This is true, and it is happening, and I do not want you to take my word for it. You'll notice I said, this is page 156, and I told you that it was what, footnote 373?
I think so.
This whole thing is footnoted, so everything is clear that you can go and find the original source. And again, listen to what they're saying today. They were lying to you then when they said this is a conspiracy theory, because they are saying today you must, it's inevitable, and you will have to participate. It's inevitable. I thought it was a conspiracy theory. So today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's absolute fact, and by tomorrow, you could be in a digital jail. You need to understand what's happening, and you can find it all in the book, Dark Future. It is incredibly important that you understand it, and if you know people that will ask honest questions, whose mind can be changed still with facts, not theories, not conspiracies, but with facts, and you and they will do their own homework, and they will change their position and wake up. If they're presented with the truth, you need to tell them about this. Most people are not going to change. Most people, but we don't need everybody. We need 20% of this nation strong on this. Everyone in this audience was born for a reason. One of those reasons, and I don't know how it plays out in your life, but one of those reasons I believe you were born at this time is to save the freedom of all mankind. This is not a Republican-Democrat thing. This is a human thing. This will spread over the entire world. China is already lost to it. It cannot enter the United States of America, or there will be no place to run. Please, I urge you to pick up the book, even if it's in a library, if they'll allow it. Go to glensnewbook.com. That's glensnewbook.com. It's called Dark Future.